Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, Field Goals and Forecast, from inside the radio station at 88.3 FM, The Buzz, St. Bonaventure, New York. I am Ryan Adio, joined by my great co-host, James Derrick. The Pro Bowl, I guess, has just ended. This was Pro Bowl week. I'm going to be honest. Neither of us really watched the Pro Bowl. It's not like it used to be. I guess, James, if you could say like one thing to make the Pro Bowl better, I guess what would you change?
There's nothing. There's nothing you can change.
I don't know what you can change.
Honestly, you got to recognize who's good in the game, of course, and that's kind of just the function of the Pro Bowl. But man, it's just gotten worse every year. Yeah. I think that the All-Star game, no matter what the sport, is always just going to suck, and I think that's just the bottom line.
Would you say the Pro Bowl is better than the NBA All-Star game?
Honestly, no. Okay. Because I feel
like the Pro Bowl is the worst in your eyes.
Because I think football is just one of those games where, in order for exciting things to happen, you need to be having both sides kind of go at each other the hardest they can. Whereas in basketball, you could still see Steph Curry drill one from 50 feet out.
That's fair.
Or, a half-court alley-oop, right?
Yeah, but, I get that.
And there's no half-assing baseball either. You really can't do that, so... I don't know. Football is low-key. It's the worst, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess I get it. Guys don't want to get hurt. It seems like a fun thing to be in, just not a fun thing to watch. That's what I always say. But anyway, let's just get into the news. Let's start with our regularly scheduled program here.
Yeah, with the real news.
The Raiders have found their offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly is leaving Ohio State to be the Raiders' offensive coordinator. I think that's a pretty good move. I didn't watch a ton of Ohio State, but obviously they won the national championship, so it has to be a decent move. I don't know anything about Chip Kelly. I don't know if he's been in the NFL before. I don't know anything about this guy. Maybe the Raiders will finally have their OC, but they need a team as well just to build around this guy. Other than that, Jets hire Steve Wilks as their new defensive coordinator. He didn't coach in 2024. He was the 49ers defensive coordinator for 1 year. And I think they fired him, and now he's with the Jets. So, I don't know. You can think about that what you want.
Yeah, we can see which direction this Jets defense is going to be going as an organization starting next year.
Yeah. That's one way to put it. The Cowboys are going to hire Clayton Adams to be their offensive coordinator. He was the former Cardinals offensive line coach. I actually do like this move. I know it's a really random move. But I do like it because think about how bad their run game was last season. So they're bringing in somebody to make it better.
Well, you know what, though? I'm not going to lie. You think about how bad the Cowboys' O-line was, how bad their run game was. I'm not sure I saw James Conner breaking out crazy. He was good still, but there was a lot of 1-yard runs from the Cardinals this year, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I think you're right.
But still,
I don't know if there's anything special about the Cardinals O-line either. Though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Maybe that's
they've
where
got a
coaching
couple of good tackles. Paris Campbell?
Yeah, and
is that the right name? Yeah.
They just got man, I'm not good with names. He's got a hard to pronounce name, I thought.
All right. Well, let's
just continue.
Not Paris Paris. I gotta Google this now.
Okay, fine, go for it. But you know
what? You start the next one. I'll just.
Sure. The Texans are in the news. They hire the Rams tight end coach Nick Caley to be their OC. I feel like that's kind of a job where you got to really screw up to not do poorly as a Texans
that
offensive coordinator. But
they just fired their offensive coordinator, so maybe who knows? I was thinking of Paris Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Did I say that twice? Wait a minute.
I think you said...
No, I said Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell is a receiver. Paris Johnson, first-round pick, offensive tackle. He's quite nice. Other than that, they have Kelvin Beachum, who's apparently starting for them at both left tackle and right tackle. They had a lot of injuries. Jonah Williams. That's really all I got. But... not a very overly special offensive line, so yeah, maybe he'll make the Cowboys' run game better. This is probably the biggest news, I would say, or one of the biggest news from this weekend. Myles Garrett requests a trade out of Cleveland, but the Browns have no intent to trade him. He said he's going to hold out until he leaves Cleveland, which makes sense. They're entering a rebuild period, I would say, and you can kind of blame Deshaun Watson, honestly, for that. But where do you think Myles Garrett is going to go? Who has the capital to bring him in? Or do you think he'll just stay a Brown?
No, I think it's impossible for him to stay a Brown this day and age. I think when you demand a trade, that's quite literally what will happen to you. You'll be traded. Especially, someone like Myles Garrett should be traded. He's done he's done a lot for his organization. And like you said, he doesn't want to just be in Canton. He wants to win a chip. But in terms of landing spots for him, that's just an open-ended question that really, every team in the NFL would want to be in on a trade that gets Myles Garrett, to be completely honest, because he's the cornerstone of your defensive side of the ball for however long he plays at a high level. And that could be for a while.
I will say I think the Bills are one of those teams that are out.
Definitely.
They are 100% out on him.
They're out on him,
I think they're out on him.
Because we don't have enough money.
We don't have enough money. Bean just said, we're not going to be spenders. We're not going after when have we ever really signed? Like, the last time we really got a big name in free agency was Stephon Diggs. Maybe Von Miller.
Yeah, and, we're going to be able to get rid of Von Miller, aren't we? Or at least modify his contract.
Who knows? Yeah, they're probably going to have to, whatever it's called, where they, push it off to, they backload it, basically, and maybe bring down a year or so. Give them, all the money up front, and then they don't have to pay them. You basically take their bonus and you pay them it as soon as possible, and then it cuts down on the annual salary.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. That's probably what we're going to want to do because he's just eating our cap. I think he's still top 3 in cap.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those guys where if we just straight up got rid of his contract, I think that takes us back to even of where we want to be in terms of cap space. So, even if you can somehow completely get rid of Von Miller.
Maybe we can convince him to retire? Then we don't have to pay his contract. But
maybe.
If you have all that money, you're not retiring.
No, he's got guaranteed money. He's still on a team that will get him in a place to contend, which is what he still is going to want to do, especially at his point in his career. But, Myles Garrett, of course, would go perfectly into this Buffalo Bills defense.
I would love to see it. Do I think we're going to get him? Absolutely not.
No. But what do you think are some actual landing spots for him? Who has the capability to bring him in, not just in cap space, but enough that can go back to the Cleveland Browns?
Hear me out. The Atlanta Falcons.
I think it's a great fit. First of all,
Kirk Cousins.
But what do you have to give?
Kirk Cousins, and maybe a first-round pick for Myles Garrett. Who says no?
It's crazy because you come from a week of the NBA trade deadline, where first-round picks are valued at a completely different level than the NFL.
Yeah.
You brought up a realistic trade. Kirk Cousins and a first-rounder for Myles Garrett.
The Browns have done stupider things.
Yeah,
I will say.
But I feel like that's just it's a realistic trade, but I just don't understand how that trade flies. You know what I mean? Everyone on Earth is saying that the Mavs should have gotten 5 first-round picks for Luka Doncic, and Myles Garrett, mind you, he's a Luka Doncic caliber player.
Well, we could just convince the Browns that he's out of shape.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do. Could just convince him he's out of shape. He's a bum.
He's not. Yeah,
remember when
he 28 now?
Remember when he hit that dude with his helmet?
Yeah. We're basically doing you a favor. At this point, he's 29 years old. Come on.
We'll trade Von Miller for Myles Garrett with a first-round pick.
Who says no?
And the Browns pay his contract.
And Myles Garrett for Mitch Trubisky and Von Miller. Who says no? Who says no?
The Browns, they say no. But do you have a more serious offer in terms of what you would realistically? What's the most you'd be willing to give up as a Falcons supporter to get Myles Garrett?
Kirk Cousins.
Really?
Cousins.
That's it.
What else could we really even offer?
So you're not an ideal team for the
no,
Browns
we
to
have
trade
the
with.
money, we have the picks, we have a quarterback. They need a quarterback.
Oh God! But they're rebuilding. They don't have space for someone like Kirk Cousins, who's making a fair amount of money. I know not on these back end years. He's still gonna be making money next year.
I mean, yeah,
he's not
still
gonna
making money
be taking a young franchise that's rebuilding and taking them anywhere.
No.
They're just gonna be, buying Kirk Cousins to sell some more tickets. Really, that'd be about it.
He could be a Minnesota Viking.
That makes a little more sense. But
Sam Darnold and a first round for Myles Garrett.
No, see that no, I don't think so. Why you seem pretty dead set on the fact that these teams are trading their quarterbacks for Myles Garrett?
Do you? Browns have the second overall pick. Do you think they're going to take a quarterback?
Not this year, but you know what? That's
right.
That's
so
the thing
they need
about
somebody to fill in that 1 year.
Yeah, but that's the thing about Cleveland Browns. Them rebuilding. It's not an ideal time to do that because you can't select
Deshaun Watson
a franchise quarterback.
Could be out another year.
Well, and you can't really stick with Jameis. I mean, I don't even think he's really on their team anymore.
He's a free agent.
Yeah, so he's a free agent. So, they could sign somebody. No one on earth that I know would want to sign there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's also the problem.
So you need to draft somebody. There's no one good this year. Well, I
wait
take
till,
that with a grain of salt.
The third-ish round, take like a Jackson Dart, maybe Jalen Milroe type player, and call it a day. Hope it works out.
I don't know. I don't even think that. I think it because you know what? No matter who you pick, you might as well not even play them yet, because if you're going to get into second, third round, then they just sign Jameis Winston and he's their quarterback. You know what I mean? And they whoever they draft plays behind him. I don't know. I think the Browns are in just a dreadful situation. They need to compile so much draft stock for Myles Garrett, and if that means maybe 5 third and second round picks, is that even reasonable?
No.
Do you see a 3-team trade happening in the NFL? There's a lot going down in the NBA that requires 3+ teams.
I doubt it. I think honestly, it'll be a team, and they'll trade it'll be I don't know. Let's say the Lions get him. It'd be Dan Skipper and 2 first-round picks for Myles Garrett and a third.
I think that's horrible. I don't know who in the NFL started, this whole balance of trading thing. But if you're going to let go of a franchise cornerstone like Myles Garrett, the fact that that's a reasonable trade is ridiculous to me. That the Browns aren't getting 5 first-round picks.
I just don't think you can get more for him.
No, and I agree. But I think that in itself is dumb. I think trading is totally imbalanced in the NFL. The Browns drafted a superstar in Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
And he's worth at least 2 years
I'm not
of
saying
first-round
he's not
picks.
worth more. I just think teams are not willing to give up that much for him.
Yeah,
and he's not going to go to the Bills because the Bills won't sign anybody with an attitude problem.
No.
And he's shown over and over that he's, kind of a hothead.
Well, Von Miller's not really.
I guess that's true,
either,
but I mean,
but that wasn't.
We didn't know about it.
Yeah, that wasn't known.
I can't really see him going for more than what I guess more than what I said, but similar to that kind of deal.
I don't know.
Think about Stephon Diggs. He only went for a second.
Exactly. I don't know. I think it's a little weird. Stephon Diggs is nowhere near the caliber of player.
Yeah.
Or nowhere near as important, to be honest.
I would agree with that.
Of a position.
I can't even really think of a time when a big name player like this has gotten traded. As of recent. I guess Diggs.
Maybe, Devontae Adams, kind of.
What did the Raiders even give up for him? Or was it just a free agent deal?
I don't see and the thing is there wasn't anything big involved there either. It was people use the Stephon Diggs trade as a platform for that and be like, oh well, Stephon Diggs is worth a second round pick.
Yeah. So, and they're about the same age.
Yeah, Myles Garrett's at an age where you've got a couple years ahead of him. With that, he's going to be a beast still.
Yeah, he's going to be very good for a very long time. I would agree with that.
Chris Jones is doing it still, and he's even up there, isn't he? He's 35 or something not 35, maybe
Chris
33.
Yeah, he's 32, 33.
33-ish, and those linemen, they can hang around for a while and still play extremely well if they're still big and conditioned enough. I think whoever can land Myles Garrett will be doing the best thing for their organization. I don't even care who he goes to.
I mean, yeah, he's going to be. He'll be insane. I think Lions are a team to look out for. Commanders are a team to look out for. Eagles are a team to look out for. Falcons got to be up there.
It's definitely a need for the Falcons. We talked about that enough. Yeah.
And then if we get, let's say we get Myles Garrett, we can draft a corner in the next draft, and then now that defense is cooking. Now that defense is solid.
Yeah.
What did the Rams trade for Von Miller originally? I cannot find this deal.
Well, I mean, if you find that deal.
Okay, so Von Miller in 2022.
Okay.
He would have been 33.
Yeah.
So a little bit older than, obviously, Myles Garrett. They traded a second and a third round pick to get him.
That's so ridiculous. I don't know. He's obviously old.
So that's what I'm saying. Is I just don't think you trade that much. I don't know.
No, I don't. That's why I'm saying is whoever he ends up, whatever team he ends up being on is without a doubt doing the correct move, because I know they're not going to give up as much as you think.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, though, the Browns, they'd be encouraged at least to trade with a team that's not very good right now. If you're going to be getting back picks, you're not going to trade with the Detroit Lions. You're not going to trade with the, Buffalo Bills, who aren't going to get them anyways. But, you'd kind of want to trade with, maybe a team that has a young quarterback that could maybe be bad for the team. I don't know. I'm trying to think, what's a team where you would want Myles Garrett to go to because you'd want those picks to be valuable? If you're the Browns.
The Giants.
The
Raiders. Get him with Max Crosby.
That's
yucky.
That's yucky.
I would say, I guess maybe the Titans just make their defense better.
Yeah, the Titans got a pretty strong defense. The Titans are only missing a quarterback.
Yeah.
They're kind of not looking too bad. They got Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears in that running back room. Yes, they're in need of wide receivers, but
if you can, they have the first overall pick. I don't think they're going to go quarterback personally, and I don't think that they should go quarterback. But you get a edge rusher in this draft. You draft Abdul Carter first overall. And then you go and you get a wide receiver in free agency. You stick it out maybe with Will Levis. Maybe you go get a temporary guy for one season, then draft a QB in the next season.
Yeah, you
got a really solid team.
It's already set to be a pretty decent quarterback class next year.
And I think we can talk about that when it gets closer to the draft too. We've been talking about Myles Garrett for a while, so anyways, I'm going to move on a little bit.
More people to be traded.
Cooper Kupp, who is requesting a trade. Just quickly, give me your thoughts on that. Who you think he might go to? Like that.
Well,
and he's older.
There are teams that can use wide receivers. He's definitely older. I think people are going to again look back at Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs being traded and value him at about a second, third round pick.
I'd say he's a third round.
And again, if you can trade for Cooper Kupp, I think any team that could do it financially should be in the running, because again, it's not going to be that much. In my opinion, giving up a third round pick is not that much. You can get some gems, but talk about the production you're going to get for sure from Cooper Kupp for at least a year, and he's got to stay healthy too.
Yeah, he does.
But how would you,
would you,
if you're the owner of a team that needs a wide receiver, what are you thinking, Ryan, in terms of what Cooper Kupp brings to you?
This screams New England Patriots. I just want to say.
Oh.
This absolutely screams New England Patriots. Unite him with Drake May. I feel like that feels like a good spot for him to go.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
That's a really good point. I don't think he's on the right age.
No. He's not a franchise receiver of it, but yeah.
That's interesting, though. He wants to be on a contender. I think, he's made that clear. Not like he gets to decide, but I don't know. I think LA should be thankful to Cooper Kupp for what he's done for them. I think they should do their best to, not screw him over, not send him to Cleveland.
Maybe he doesn't even sell his house. He just stays and plays for the Chargers.
Oh, see, these are all very interesting thoughts.
Yeah, I think I would say those are his top 2 landing spots. Maybe the Titans, but
how do you feel about Cooper Kupp physically?
Well, not good.
I'm saying if you were in a GM position.
If I was a GM, I wouldn't go and get Cooper Kupp.
You're a GM on a team that needs a receiver, let's say, though. Are you not, kind of chomping at the bit to be like, can I give up a 4th for Cooper Kupp, maybe,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trade more than a 3rd for him. And even that's pushing it. Let's say I'm the GM of the New England Patriots. I have a top, they're the 4th pick? 5th pick?
Something like that.
I'm the New England Patriots. I have my franchise quarterback, hopefully. I have a decent defense, and I have a bunch of draft picks that I'm going to use to make my roster better.
Okay.
I'm not going to trade a 3rd-round pick for Cooper Kupp when in the 3rd round I can maybe pick a receiver who's going to be younger and has a higher ceiling.
I don't know if you can have a higher ceiling than Cooper Kupp maybe over your career, but not in your rookie season.
It's over your career. Right now, would you say Keon Coleman is better than Cooper Kupp?
No, I mean I also think he's a bad. I think he's a bad example though because I would still rather have Cooper Kupp than Keon Coleman.
Really?
Yeah.
But Keon is
with the Bills roster.
That's true.
With the Bills roster,
right
I think
now,
yes, definitely you want Cooper Kupp over Keon Coleman. But with a roster like New England, sure they would want Keon Coleman over Cooper Kupp because he's going to be progressing while their quarterback progresses and the rest of their.
Back to this. But would you say AD is better than Luka Doncic?
Luka Doncic?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Would you say LeBron is better than Luka Doncic?
Yeah.
Doncic.
Well, it's hard.
That's what I'm saying. It's right now you'd rather have LeBron over Luka, but for the future.
That's an interesting point. But again. It's so team need oriented that I guess it would come down to the teams that are in the conversation for it. For the record, though, I think Luka's better. Luka's better than LeBron right now.
Okay.
I think it's still LeBron's team.
Yeah.
Because he's LeBron. I don't think you can say in any mind that it's Luka's team because if LeBron's on the team, it's LeBron's team.
Yeah. Luka's the future face of the team.
Definitely. I think Luka's a crazy example, though. You go from Keon Coleman to someone like Luka.
Well,
imagine Keon Coleman had 1,500 receiving yards this season.
I'm not in any way saying that Keon is the next Luka, but I'm saying potential-wise,
sure.
He's got higher potential. I can't even really think Ladd McConkey.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. That's a better example.
Ladd McConkey or Cooper Kupp.
Okay, so that's a much better example.
Yeah.
I think Ladd McConkey's better than Cooper
Right, that's
Kupp.
what I'm saying. It's you would rather have Ladd McConkey.
But imagine the Chargers trade for Cooper Kupp and you get Ladd McConkey taking reps next to Cooper Kupp. I feel like he's just a certified Wes Welker prototype that's just going to be in the league for 15 years and dominate.
That is such a funny just thing to think about.
Ladd McConkey, if he could learn from Cooper Kupp for a year or two, could be insane.
That duo would be so good. But yeah, I would say either Patriots, Chargers, or maybe he could even go to the Ravens or something.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even count them out. I think he could honestly go anywhere. Realistically,
he could go to Kansas City.
Yeah. It's whoever wants to give up that pick. But that's the trade news. Those are the big trade people that have said that they're going to leave their team. They're looking for a trade. Maybe we'll talk about this in the future. When we talk about free agents and stuff, we'll get into it. Only bit of news here. I saw this. I thought it was interesting. The NFL is considering using electronic first down measurements for next season, so that the Josh Allen thing doesn't happen again. Pretty much.
Oh man.
I would say. They have it in soccer. Where
Yeah,
they have like
I mean,
the VAR.
I just think it's funny how accommodating the NFL has been for the Bills. You lose in
Yeah.
overtime, you don't have to lose in overtime anymore on the first possession. Oh, you don't get the first down. Oh, we're gonna put technology in the.
I just feel
footballs.
like this is stuff that they should have
No, I agree.
normally.
I mean,
and they just haven't done it. Now they have a reason to because people are upset.
well, the thing that, and we don't need to spend too long on this, but the thing I've always been a little bit confused about with a sensor in the football is, does the sensor go dead once they blow the whistle? Because
Yeah,
if
the sensor doesn't like do anything apparently.
but if the sensor still goes off, after this or that happens, you're not really sure where to mark the first down. Like, they could be digging through the pile and all of a sudden the sensor goes off,
Yeah.
or something. You don't know when someone was down versus
That's true.
when it goes off, or
Yeah.
can you turn it off? I don't know.
I have no idea how it works. I just know they have that chip, and it doesn't really do much apparently. That's what I was reading.
Yeah,
But
I
we're
don't know.
26 minutes in, and we haven't even talked about the Super Bowl yet. So
Let's get to that.
We should probably head over there. But starting with some Super Bowl talks, but I did see this as well. Kind of to roll into our Super Bowl talks. Cam Newton came out on a show the other day and said that he would rather take his MVP over a Super Bowl ring. I feel like I know your opinion on this, but do you agree with that?
I don't know if you do know my opinion on this. It's very hard to formulate one. However, I'm going to lean towards what Cam Newton said because he actually went
Really?
further on the show
Okay.
and emphasized a player like Allen Iverson. Think about, I've always been a basketball guy. I love talking about football, but basketball's definitely been my thing for my entire life, really.
Right.
Think about what Allen Iverson has done for the game of basketball. He's won an MVP, but he's not a championship winner.
Right.
The way that everybody can handle the ball now, I think you can almost fully attribute to Allen Iverson. He's affected the game.
Yeah.
If Steph Curry never won an NBA championship, he would still have such an astounding impact on the game of basketball that I think it's historically important, more historically important than winning, in my opinion. But I don't know. I think Cam makes some great points. I almost would take an MVP over a Super Bowl. What do you think?
Really?
What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like a Super Bowl is just. But you can say, like, Lamar's one of the most decorated quarterbacks in NFL history, but he's never won a Super Bowl. And it's
Absolutely.
like, well, okay, he did his job, but his team just couldn't take that extra step.
And I think that's the mental, offshoot that you're going out of is like, oh, you can't blame me.
Right. Right.
And I think that still, you're attributing success to those players when they're MVP winners but not Super Bowl winners.
Right.
You're still attributing success, saying they won an MVP, they were this good, but they just couldn't win the Super Bowl. That still reflects poorly on them, but at the same time, you're recognizing them too.
I would argue that the MVP is great, but it really doesn't mean. I mean, football's a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't mean anything unless you win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's winning with your team. It's not. You're not winning for yourself.
Yeah, well,
You're winning for the fan base. You're winning for the city. You're winning for everyone.
yeah, definitely.
Is involved in this, especially if you're like Josh Allen. You're going to get the Bills their first ever Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Even Cam Newton.
as a fan, of course, I'd rather win the Super Bowl.
Right.
I
guess
think,
that's true.
I think that's a very obvious one. I think if Josh wins the MVP this year and we don't win the Super Bowl, I still think that most Bills fans, not most, all Bills fans would view this season as, a failure in a sense. You don't win the Super Bowl. I don't know. If you're the player, though, it kind of just depends where you're at mentally. Josh is one of those guys that wants to win. If he wins the MVP, he'd say, well, I won the MVP,
Yeah,
but I
I
didn't
agree
win
with that.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would say that.
Well, I don't know. I feel like either way you could argue a point, but let's actually get into some real Super Bowl talks here. As we enter the Super Bowl here, Chiefs, Eagles, rematch of 2022. Both defenses, I think, are the strongest point of both teams. But would you rather have the Chiefs' defense or the Eagles' defense?
Chiefs defense, you get Spags.
Right. Yeah.
I rest my case.
Okay, fair enough, I guess. I like the Eagles' defense more, honestly.
No, they've got a lot of great guys on that defense.
Yeah.
You know, I'm taking the Chiefs because I know you would definitely go with the Eagles.
Fair enough.
But I think it's just the Chiefs' black magic at this point. I think they're also just so experienced. They know how to win.
They know exactly what they're doing.
It's not exactly all the talent in the world that you need, but when you know how to win and play as a team, I think there's absolutely nothing that can replace that.
Yeah, I guess that's fair enough. I just think the Eagles' defense is so young and so just locked down. Like, it's just so solid in every department.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to rephrase that question where it's like, for the future, what do you want? I think definitely the Eagles' defense.
Yeah. If you're saying right now, you're like, fate of the universe on the line. Aliens got the death beam pointed at Earth.
I want Iguodala.
You got one drive to stop them on defense. You taking the Chiefs or the Eagles?
That's a hard question. As a Bills fan, I've seen Josh Allen go down the field plenty of times against the Chiefs, but I still think against an NFC opponent, I still got the Chiefs. I still am more faithful in the Chiefs.
I mean, it's hard. I understand both sides. I really do. We've seen Spags just shut down the Bills over and over. So. And
the refs are on your side.
Yeah. I guess so. That's true. The aliens could win, and the refs would just not. Offensive holding.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, 2 years ago when we saw this exact Super Bowl, the Eagles held the Chiefs to a field goal, in all honesty, until that holding penalty came out. The Eagles' defense kind of did their job. I mean, they allowed over 30 points, but still, they kind of have done it already. Patrick Mahomes would have only been able to tie the game, and the Eagles could have had the ball back. So it's almost like they've been there before. I think they might also be a little extra determined right now too.
Yeah.
So
repeat. Yeah. NFL history. But let's say Mahomes does win this. He wins this one. He's about 20. He's 29 years old right now. Should he be considered a top 2 to 3 quarterback of all time?
I think when you consider the amount of career he has ahead of him, yes. It's kind of the same thing as, people were making much better GOAT debate conversations in basketball for LeBron James right after he won his 3rd or 4th championship as opposed to now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think people have less, LeBron's my GOAT. That's a different subject. But I think there's a lot more people now that are confident that MJ's the GOAT because LeBron won't catch him.
Right.
Well, we don't know if Mahomes is going to catch Brady. And
who knows
honestly,
if he's going to have 6 Super Bowls? 7 Super Bowls?
Yes, 7
Super Bowls.
So, it doesn't look likely ever, really. But if he three-peats, come on.
Would you say he's better than Peyton Manning right now?
After this season?
Let's say he wins this Super Bowl. He now has 4 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, maybe even 3. He's first team All-Pro 2 times, Pro Bowl 6 times, and he won Offensive Player of the Year once. Peyton Manning has the most MVPs in NFL history at 5. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. His first team All-Pro 7 times, Pro Bowl 14 times.
Whew.
This is the thing. He 4 Super Bowls or 5 MVPs.
I don't know. You know what? I feel like this is an instance where it definitely doesn't help that I didn't get to watch him in his prime.
That's true.
Peyton Manning's really not even that long ago, but I was just too young. I was too much of a youngin' to be able to watch that.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring up another name, and you definitely didn't watch.
Didn't watch from anything longer than that. But I think I would still say, at this moment, not being anticipatory towards Patrick Mahomes' future winning more championships, I'd say at this moment, if he stopped and retired, I'd have to give it to Peyton Manning because just the individual success, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think Manning is still number 2, but is Mahomes number 3? Joe Montana, I would say, sits at that number 3 spot. You'd say Brady, Manning, Montana. Joe Montana had 4 Super Bowls, so the same as Mahomes.
Yeah.
3-time Super Bowl MVP. He was a 2-time MVP. He was a comeback player of the year. He was an offensive player of the year. He was an 8-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time first-team All-Pro.
Well,
And you also have to, I mean, this is the LeBron versus MJ debate where it's like, well, Michael Jordan played against plumbers.
That's what I was going to say, is kind of like if you put Joe Montana and Patrick Mahomes side by side right now, I'd guarantee Patrick Mahomes would probably whoop his butt. But, still, honestly, I feel like I can be more confident in saying Patrick Mahomes with this one because of the less individual success that you've seen from Joe Montana. Most MVPs in history from Peyton Manning, that's more like, wow, this guy was so great that voters weren't even tired of voting him as the MVP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
5-time MVP is most in NFL history.
I mean, you see it in sports all the time. Voters get fatigued. Voters don't like giving the same person the MVP over and over and over again. To do it 5 times is astounding. I think that shows a ridiculous amount of individual success. But so Joe Montana, he still had 2 MVPs. That's great, but I think you can say Mahomes is better. What about you?
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, this might be recency bias, I know, but I think it is Brady, Manning, and if he wins this one, it'd be Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
I also think Lamar Jackson is closer to Peyton Manning than Josh Allen is.
Because of the MVPs?
Because of the MVPs. He's won a ton of MVPs.
It really sucks because that is the way it's going to go down in the history books, isn't it?
It's like, okay, well, Brady won all the Super Bowls and Manning won all the MVPs.
You're being extremely thought-provoking this episode, Ryan. In all honesty, this is very...
That's what I'm here for, honestly. There's no game to recap, so this is what it's come to.
You were hard at work getting thought-provoking questions and topics going for this, huh?
But that's what I would just say. I mean, I know that the Josh Allen Mahomes rivalry is like a huge thing. And obviously the Peyton Manning Tom Brady rivalry was a huge thing, but Josh has no
accolades.
Accolades, that's the word I'm thinking of. Yeah. So it's really hard to be like, yeah, he's the Peyton Manning of our time.
That's terrible. That sucks because you know what? You're right. Like no one's gonna. Someone, 25 years from now is gonna have a podcast at their college.
Yeah.
And they're going to have these stats down on paper, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to have to give it to Lamar Jackson here over Josh Allen. And it sucks. But if this continues where Josh doesn't have any, measurable accolades, just plays close to Patrick Mahomes. That's it.
I mean, he took him to the playoffs every year, and that was it. That's really all you can say, yeah. If Mahomes retires right now, let's say he wins the Super Bowl, or even if he doesn't, and he just retires at the age of 29, at the age of 30, is he in the Hall of Fame?
No doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Wow.
I know the NFL Hall of Fame is harder to get into than, most other sports Hall of Fames. Some of them are a joke, like basketball, the NBA, but... I've been bringing up the NBA a lot.
I won't even say much on that because I don't really know. But
no, the NBA, it actually is a joke. You could be a Hall of Famer if you average like 15 points a game. But I'm exaggerating. But still, I feel like I know it's harder in the NFL. But damn, man, this is Patrick Mahomes. He's just been the poster child for winning for the last 5 years.
He has every single Kansas City record. Pretty much at this point.
Yeah, I think he's a certified Hall of Famer. If he retired last year.
Yeah.
Or not the year before that, but still.
He's been to what, like 8 straight, or not 8 straight, but so he started in 2018. He's now been to 7 straight AFC championships.
Yeah.
Or 6 straight, one of the two. That's just that's just dominance.
That's domination.
Yeah. I would agree. I think he is a Hall of Famer right now. Whether he's first ballot or not, that'd be tough. But he's definitely a Hall of Famer, I would say. Let's move away from the Chiefs. Let's talk about the other team a little bit here. The Eagles, obviously we know, really good defense, really good offense. I think, honestly, this is going to be a really tough matchup for both teams. It could just be the lowest scoring Super Bowl since the Rams-Patriots. But Howie Roseman has really put together just an astounding team. I mean, just his moves this offseason are nuts. Saquon, Zach Bond, that was out
ridiculous.
of nowhere. Ridiculous pickup. Mekhi Becton, that was a good pickup. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, great pickup. Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, round 1 to round 2. That's honestly unbelievable that we let that happen. Well, I actually thought the Bills were going to draft DeJean, but that's a different story.
I was with you.
Yeah, that's true. And Isaiah Rodgers, kind of an under the radar pick there, but what a just insane offseason to bring this team back to the Super Bowl. Is he the best GM right now in the NFL?
Well, you know what? He picked up one of those guys. Zach Bond could have been on any team in the NFL at the beginning of the season, and he got him on the squad. And I don't know if it's really the defensive coaching for Philly that makes all these players so special, like Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. If they're on different teams, are they playing as well as they are right now? Honestly, I don't think so. So maybe it's a reflection of coaching. I think it's a winning culture in Philly, and I think they're doing a tremendous job developing all this talent, no doubt. But he's got to be the best GM in the NFL. Look at the team that he's built. Even some of the weak spots, where you slide Zach Bond into, he turns into an absolute beast.
Yeah.
I'm saying weak spot at the beginning of the season because you would have Zach Bond playing there, but turns out he's just an absolute animal who forces fumbles all the time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think without a doubt you're the best GM in the NFL if you put this team together.
And I mean, if I asked this question, 5 years ago, you would have looked at me like I was insane. I mean, you just drafted Jalen Reagor. And who was before that? Nobody good. I don't know. But then he goes and gets A.J. Brown a couple drafts later. And that was the start of it. Drafts Jalen Hurts in the second round. Has gone upward for him since.
What did they trade to get A.J. Brown on that draft night?
So they traded their first round pick.
It was a first rounder, though.
I think it was like pick 12 or 14. And the Titans ended up drafting Treylon Burks.
Wow.
Who has 1 touchdown in his career.
I don't even think that's his fault, but still.
Yeah.
Like A.J. Brown was doing better with less of a court. Well, he had Ryan Tannehill.
They did have Ryan Tannehill. Yeah.
You forget some of those Tennessee teams were like sneaky good.
Dude,
like, they just beat you.
Those Tennessee teams should have been in the Super Bowl. 100%.
Those Tennessee teams would just beat you somehow, and you just walk away after losing.
Henry.
You'd lose 14-10, and you'd walk away and be like, "How the hell did we just lose?"
Or they would just absolutely dominate you like they did with the Ravens.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, when Lamar won MVP, that Tennessee team was the one that eliminated him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were just always tough. I mean, they still
just couldn't get past Brady, I think.
Yeah.
And Mahomes at that point.
Yeah, and it turned into Brady and Mahomes because, honestly, Tennessee beat Brady the one year.
They did, his last year with the Patriots. Logan Ryan, walk-off pick 6.
Yes, I remember. That was sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I actually bought a Logan Ryan jersey after that.
I think that was when the Bills lost to the Texans in the wild card, and I was very sad about the result of that game. So, we turned on the other game, which was Tennessee and the Patriots, and man, that felt amazing to see him walk into the end zone after picking off Brady. Yeah, that was awesome.
That's really all I got for the Eagles, though. Who do you think wins Super Bowl MVP? I mean, you can give me one for each team.
I'm sure you'll agree. Saquon or Patrick Mahomes. Or if Chris Jones has a forced fumble and a touchdown, you can give it to Chris Jones.
I guess if I had to pick a different...
Or I know where you're going with this, but go ahead.
What?
You're going to say maybe if you want to do a different defensive player, you do Nick Bolton if he has a crazy game.
Oh, yeah, you could. Yeah, you could say that. Or Trent McDuffie, even.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, and I know everybody's been saying it, but I think the script has Travis Kelce in it. His final game,
he says
probably ever.
I don't know. He said he wasn't really considering retirement.
No. He's got to be. He's 34.
You have a point. I mean, I don't know.
Realistically, who actually? Let's talk about this. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
I think the Chiefs, unless
Okay.
unless the Eagles can really just run the ball. But yeah,
I don't think they will be able to because the Chiefs' run defense is that good.
yeah.
Travis Kelce's 35 years old.
I feel like there comes to like if you three-peat, you just got to be like, well, what if we four-peat? I'll
No,
play
no,
again.
no. Nobody calls it a four-peat.
What is it?
It's a four. You win 4 Super Bowls in a row. That's what it is. The three-peat is history, as it is. You're 35 years old. You are dating Taylor Swift, and your legacy's over. You stop right there. You're done. If you play another year and somehow mess it up, you're gonna be known as that guy for the rest. No,
No, you're going to be
end on
known
a
as
high
the
point.
guy who just retired 1 year late and won like a million championships. You're so wrong about this. I think if you win another Super Bowl,
Think about-
you
think about-
reserve the right to be like, sure, I'll go for it again. But if you're going to make a case for if he should retire and when, of course, he's done enough with his life. He can retire.
Yes.
I agree on that sense. But I think if you win a Super Bowl, you must suit up again.
And listen, I don't think Cam Newton is a Hall of Famer. I'm just bringing up an example.
Okay.
Cam Newton, he got hurt. He went to the Patriots, and now everybody thinks of that when they think of Cam Newton. I feel like they think of the end of his career when he wasn't that good.
Okay.
I would say if Travis Kelce goes out, has 150 yards, wins Super Bowl MVP, gets his third ring, three-peat, season over, career over. You end on the highest point possible. If you come back another year and it just doesn't turn out that well,
I don't know. I feel like this is just such a unique situation. You're on the Kansas City Chiefs. There's not going to be any. It doesn't turn out that well.
I guess that's
think.
also true.
I
Yeah.
think no matter what, he's going to have a fixated spot in their offense always, and he'll always turn it up when it's playoff time. However, you have a crazy game. You win Super Bowl MVP. I don't know. I feel like no matter what, you'd almost just consider retiring anyways,
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean.
Regardless of how old
I
you are,
think-
if you're in your 30s, late
Yeah.
30s especially. But
I think obviously Mahomes is the easy answer, but if I wanted to pick a different player, I would say Travis Kelce. Or, I mean, I guess another offensive player, yeah, Travis Kelce. I think everything in the script points to it, like the
Yeah.
script, I know, but, it just feels like he's going to have that big game, and he's going to retire, and, yeah, but I don't think the Chiefs are going to win, actually. I think the Eagles are going to win. And I think Saquon's the easy answer, but give me Jalen Hurts or Jalen Carter.
so, like, if Jalen Carter has a game wrecking kind of play,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
and you could, so what you're saying is you could kind of see a scenario where it's Kansas City with the ball, chance to win. Eagles defense needs a stop. Out of everyone on that Eagles defense, it's Jalen Carter. You think that makes a play, especially with someone who gets the ball out like Mahomes. I think the only way you really get to
Or
Mahomes
you
is
give it- or you
interior
give it to
pressure.
Zach Bond. Zach Bond, he's dropping back in coverage. He's
Yeah.
on Travis Kelce. He intercepts the ball. Game over. MVP.
Maybe, I don't know. This is
Something
all
like that.
such
yeah,
crazy hypotheticals.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I would say I'm gonna lock in. I'll say Zach Bond or AJ Brown on the offense. I'm gonna go away from Jalen Hurts there. Sorry.
All right, so
You're just saying Saquon and Mahomes.
Saquon or Mahomes, or
Feels like the
yeah, I think
safe
you have
answer,
I think
yeah.
you have a convincing case for Travis Kelce as well.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I completely forgot what I was gonna say, but
Well, I mean,
yeah. So obviously, right? You think the Chiefs are gonna win? What's your final score?
Final score prediction. You seem to think it's gonna be a dogfight defensive bout.
I do.
I think just no matter what, the offenses will prevail. I think it's more so going to be that Philly will be able to run on Kansas City. I think they'll still be able to do it, and I think Kansas City, kind of like they did against Buffalo, will just keep up with them and eventually win the game. I think you're looking at a final score somewhere around 29-26. I don't know how we get there, but we're going to get there.
29-26. I'm gonna write that down. 29-26 Chiefs. I'm obviously taking the Eagles. I just really want the Eagles to win. Not really want the Eagles to win, but I would much rather the Eagles win. And I also took them to win first week of the playoffs when nobody had played yet. So that would be kind of cool to predict that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I did predict the Super Bowl matchup, though. So there's that.
Congrats.
Thanks. I didn't want it to happen, but it did. I think the Eagles are going to win by 2 scores, or a score and a half. So I'm going to say Chiefs 24, Eagles 34.
I feel like that's a boring Super Bowl. Why would you predict a boring Super Bowl?
Dude, it's been a boring. That is it. That I didn't predict anything. That is realistic. I mean, I didn't want the Eagles and the Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl. I wanted the Bills. I wanted the Lions. I wanted the Bills. I wanted the Commanders. But
I didn't predict anything. That's just what's going to happen. That's
just how things happen.
Shut up.
You can be mad at me all you want, but when that happens, it's just what it is. I mean, it's an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl.
Whatever, man.
You win some, you lose some. We didn't talk about NFL awards yet, so I guess we'll just kind of run through that. I have mine, you have yours, and then I have ours from mid-season just to look back on.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. My MVP, Lamar Jackson, just feels like it's going to happen. Just feels like the obvious answer. Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon Barkley, same thing. Just feels like the obvious answer.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain.
Okay, that's fresh.
A left field one, but I think he's the number 1 corner in the league. He kind of led the Denver defense a little bit, except for that last wild card game. And I just think he's very, very good. And I don't think any defensive player really played out of their mind this year.
No.
Comeback Player of the Year, Joe Burrow. He was hurt last year. He had insane stats this year. He's the only reason the Bengals were at least half decent. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels, easily. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse. I'm going to take him just slight edge over Quinion Mitchell, I think.
Okay.
And my Coach of the Year is Kevin O'Connell because that Vikings team was predicted to have 2 wins, and even though they lost in the first round, they still were insanely good.
Yeah, and at different parts of the season, me and you both had him at number 1 in power rankings, so really can't argue against that. My MVP, I'm going to go Lamar Jackson. However, I thought it was very interesting to look up the current betting odds for your NFL awards.
Really?
According to VegasInsider.com, Josh Allen is minus 300.
He's the favorite.
He's the favorite right now.
Really?
Lamar Jackson's at plus 240. Maybe it's just
that's crazy.
Maybe it's just the site that it was on, but I think that's kind of crazy.
Maybe it's because, I guess Josh did beat him, but I don't think that's enough.
I agree. Regardless, I still think it's going to be Lamar Jackson, even though Josh is supposedly the favorite. You should probably check on FanDuel, more credible gambling sites. However, regardless, moving to Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon Barkley. However, I would also like to show some love to Derrick Henry. I think he was really the big reason why the Ravens were so good. Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go T.J. Watt. He's just the best player in the NFL almost. So, Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah, he did slow down at the end of the season, though.
I don't know. I feel like everyone has to adjust to T.J. Watt eventually. Comeback Player of the Year, I'm going to go Sam Darnold. I think, without a doubt, Joe Burrow is an MVP candidate. Since he qualifies for Comeback Player of the Year, I think it'll be Joe Burrow. However, Sam Darnold has a great narrative. He's been written off, and he didn't write back.
That's true.
Jaden Daniels is my Offensive Rookie of the Year. However, Brock Bowers just chose the worst year to be a rookie.
Yeah.
He had a historic season.
He would have won it any other year.
So show love to Brock Bowers out there. He had a historic season for a rookie tight end, or even for tight ends in general. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I've got Jared Verse, and then Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell. What were you saying?
I actually can't believe that Josh Allen is the favorite right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna look on some other sites too, but you wanna run through what did we have for predictions?
So not last season, mid-season of last season, I guess. Mid-season, we did some early MVP. It's not completely different than what I thought, but I had Lamar for MVP. I had Derrick Henry for Offensive Player of the Year because he was insanely good for a huge stretch and then fell off at the end of the season. I had Dexter Lawrence, who went out with an injury, which he would have won, I think, if he continued to play at his level and didn't get hurt. I have Kevin O'Connell still. I have Joe Burrow still. Yet I did write I want it to be Kirk Cousins. I don't want it to be Kirk Cousins anymore. Jaden Daniels and Jared Verse again. I think he's just played at a high level all season. Well, your midseason are more different than mine, at least.
Yeah, where are my midseason ones?
I got him. I mean, I can read it if you
Yeah,
want me to.
you want to read those off?
You had Josh Allen at your MVP.
Okay.
Fair enough. I mean, then you had Derrick Henry as well, because again, he was just playing at such a high level.
Oh, and I remember my rookie or not rookie of the year, my defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
What a blunder! But anyways,
Brian Branch,
Brian Branch
Yeah.
and Kirby Joseph, they were playing really well.
They were playing. I mean, they are still playing at a high level, or they were still playing at a high level.
If I recall, it was the case that I made was kind of just like if they maintain the level that they're at, I feel like they have to be a shoe-in.
Interception a game. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I also had a note: you must consider T.J. Watt at all times. So yeah.
Fair enough. You also have Kevin O'Connell as your coach of the year.
Yeah.
Did you say Kevin O'Connell above too? Yeah, you did. Right?
Yeah, I had Kevin O'Connell for both, and
it could be Dan Quinn too, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think both. It just comes back to expected to do nothing.
Right. Then you had Kirk Cousins for Comeback Player of the Year. That didn't age well.
Wow.
Yeah.
He didn't even finish the season.
No, he didn't. He doesn't deserve to finish the season. Jaden Daniels for Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse as well. No real. And maybe this is just me saying this, but I feel like there's been no real favorites on the defensive side. This was a really offensive year.
Yeah. I mean, the league wants it to be an offensive league anyways, too.
That's true.
I think that draws in more views and attention and money.
Well, that'll do it. James is saying 29-26 Chiefs for his Super Bowl, and I'm saying 34-24 Philadelphia Eagles. That will do it for us this week. We'll come back next week and see how either terribly wrong we were or terribly right we were. But we will see you next week. Bye-bye.